127. Tao Yuanming, a man who refused to bow for 5 measures of rice. After the Battle of Fei River, Xia An took advantage of former Qing's collapse, sending Xie Xian to recapture vast territories in the Yellow River region. However, instead of rewarding Xia An's contributions, Emperor Xiaowu of Jing placed his incompetent brother, Sima Daozi, in power, marginalizing Xia An and preventing him from fully utilizing his talents. After Xia An's death, Eastern Jing fell into rapid decline under the corrupt rule of Sima Daozi. A period of chaos. In 399 AD, during the reign of Emperor An of Jing, a peasant uprising led by Sun An erupted in Kuaiji Commandery. Within 2 years, the rebels amassed over 100,000 soldiers, marching toward Jiankang, modern-day Nanjing. The Eastern Jing court had to mobilize the Beifu army to suppress the revolt. At the same time, internal conflicts continued to destabilize the ruling elite. Huan Xian, son of Huan Wan, seized control of the upper Yangtze River and marched into Jiankang, overthrowing Emperor An of Jing and declaring himself emperor. However, within a few months, General Lu Yu defeated Huan Xian and restored Emperor An to the throne. After this, Eastern Jing was nothing more than an empty shell, existing in name only. Tao Yuanming, a poet who shunned corrupt politics. During these turbulent times, in Chaisang, modern-day Zhejiang, Jiangxi, lived a renowned poet named Tao Qian, better known as Tao Yuanming. He despised the corruption of the political system and chose to live in seclusion in his hometown. Tao Yuanming's great-grandfather was Tao Can, a famous general of Eastern Jing. However, unlike the wealthy aristocrats of the time, his family was not a landowning nobility. By Tao Yuanming's generation, their financial situation had declined significantly. Despite growing up in poverty, Tao Yuanming loved reading and writing poetry. Even when his family struggled to afford food, he remained content with his literary pursuits. In front of his house, there were 5 willow trees, leading him to adopt the literary alias Mr. Five Willows. Reluctant to serve in government. As his financial situation worsened, Tao Yuanming struggled to support his family through farming. His relatives and friends urged him to seek a government position. With no other choice, he reluctantly agreed. Due to his noble lineage and literary talent, local officials recommended him for a military advisory position under Lu Yu. However, after a short time, he realized the court was filled with political infighting and corruption. Disillusioned, he requested a transfer to a local government post and was appointed magistrate of Pengzi County, modern-day Jiangxi. The famous 5 measures of rice incident. As a county magistrate, Tao Yuanming's salary was modest. Unlike other officials, he never extorted or accepted bribes, and his life remained humble but tolerable. Compared to his impoverished life in Chaisang, it was a slight improvement, and he found solace in the simplicity of rural administration. One day, the inspector of the commandery, Du Yu, came to Pengzi for an official visit. A county clerk rushed to inform Tao Yuanming, who was in his study, stroking his beard while composing poetry. Hearing the news, he was irritated but reluctantly set aside his scrolls to prepare for the meeting. The clerk, noticing that Tao Yuanming was still dressed in simple clothes, was shocked and said, "Sir, you should change into your official robes and wear your ceremonial belt before greeting the inspector. How can you meet him in casual attire?" Tao Yuanming despised corrupt bureaucrats who abused their power. Upon hearing that he was expected to bow and flatter the inspector, he felt disgusted. With a deep sigh, he declared, "I refuse to bow for 5 measures of rice." Saying this, he removed his official seal and handed it to the clerk, resigning on the spot. A life of seclusion and poetry. Returning to Chaisang, Tao Yuanming felt even more detached from the chaos of politics. He realized that the turbulent world around him was too far removed from his ideals and aspirations. From that moment on, he fully embraced a reclusive lifestyle, spending his days writing poetry and essays to express his thoughts. The Vision of the Peach Blossom Spring. One of Tao Yuanming's most famous works is The Peach Blossom Spring. In the story, a fisherman from Wuling rows his boat up a stream, enchanted by the sight of a beautiful peach forest in full bloom. At the end of the forest, he discovers a hidden cave. Curious, he steps inside and finds himself in a vast, utopian village. The villagers, descendants of people who fled the chaos of the late Qing dynasty, have lived in peace and harmony for generations, completely isolated from the outside world. They have no knowledge of the Han dynasty, let alone the wars of Wei and Jin. The villagers warmly welcome the fisherman, offering him food and drink. He stays for several days, marveling at their tranquil, self-sufficient life. Upon leaving, he marks his route so he can return later. However, when he tells the local governor, an expedition is sent to find the utopia again, but the entrance is never found. The eternal appeal of the peach blossom spring. Tao Yuanming's utopian vision did not exist in the real world. However, his depiction of a society where people live in equality, prosperity, and peace, free from war and corruption, captured the deep longing of the people during that era of chaos and instability. For centuries, The Peach Blossom Spring has remained one of China's most beloved literary works, symbolizing the timeless human desire for an ideal world. 128. Lu Yu and the Crescent Moon Formation. After Emperor An of Jin was restored to the throne, Lu Yu emerged as the de facto ruler of Eastern Jin. Lu Yu had come from a poor background, originally a low-ranking officer, and lacked the aristocratic status typically required for political influence. To solidify his reputation, he decided to launch a northern campaign. The first northern expedition, destroying southern Yan. In 409 AD, Lu Yu led an army from Jinkang and laid siege to Guanggu, modern-day Yidu, Shandong, the capital of southern Yan, one of the 16 kingdoms. The king of southern Yan, Murong Chao, grew desperate and sent an urgent plea for help to later Qin. At the time, later Qin was a dominant power in the north. Its ruler, Yao Xing, sent an envoy to Lu Yu's camp with a message. Yin and Qin are friendly neighbors. We have already stationed 100,000 troops in Luoyang. If you continue your assault, we will not stand idly by. Lu Yu laughed coldly and replied, Tell Yao Xing this, I originally planned to destroy Yan first, rest for 3 years, and then come for you. But since you are so eager to offer yourselves, I welcome you. After the envoy left, some of Lu Yu's advisors expressed concern. Such a response might provoke Yao Xing. If he really sends troops, how will we counter them? Lu Yu remained calm, saying, You don't understand military strategy. As the saying goes, speed is the essence of war. If they truly planned to attack, they would strike in secret, not announce it in advance. This is nothing more than empty threats. Yao Xing is already entangled in a war with the kingdom of Xia and has recently suffered a defeat. He has no strength to rescue southern Yan. Lu Yu's prediction was correct. Later Qin never sent reinforcements, and soon after, southern Yan was completely destroyed. The second northern expedition, conquering later Qin. After consolidating power in the south, Lu Yu launched a second northern campaign, this time targeting later Qin. He dispatched General Wang Zhenyi and General Tan Daoji with an infantry force to advance from the Huai River region toward Luoyang, while he personally led the navy along the Yellow River to press westward. At the same time, the Xianbei-led Northern Wei had become a powerful force in the north. Its army had reached the northern bank of the Yellow River, posing a serious threat to Lu Yu's forces. As Lu Yu's fleet moved west, strong winds and river currents occasionally pushed Jin ships toward the northern bank, where Northern Wei cavalry immediately attacked. Lu Yu attempted to land troops to fight off the Wei forces, but the Wei cavalry would retreat as soon as the Jin army set foot on land. Once the Jin troops returned to their ships, the Wei soldiers resumed their harassment. This hit-and-run strategy disrupted Lu Yu's advance. Lu Yu's Crescent Moon Formation. To counter this tactic, Lu Yu devised a strategy. He sent a general with 700 elite soldiers and 100 war chariots to land on the northern bank. The troops formed a semicircular defensive line, with their flanks anchored to the river and the center slightly protruding. A white feather flag was raised on one of the central war chariots, marking the command center. Because the formation resembled a crescent moon, it was named the Crescent Moon Formation. The Wei soldiers, observing the unfamiliar formation from afar, hesitated, unsure of its purpose. Shortly after, the white feather flag was raised, and 2,000 more Jin soldiers rushed forward, each carrying large bows and arrows, reinforcing the crescent moon formation. At first, the Wei generals were unimpressed. Believing they had overwhelming numbers, they ordered 30,000 cavalry to launch an all-out assault against the Jin positions along the riverbank. The Jin army fired volleys of arrows from their 100 war chariots, but they could not halt the Wei charge. However, just as the Wei cavalry broke through the outer defenses, Lu Yu revealed his hidden weapon, thousands of giant spears, mounted on huge crossbows. Each of these special long spears was 3 to 4 feet long, with razor-sharp tips. As the Wei cavalry surged forward, Jin soldiers struck the crossbows with iron hammers, launching the giant spears. Each spear tore through multiple enemies, instantly killing thousands of Wei cavalrymen. The terrified Wei soldiers, unaware of how many more of these deadly weapons the Jin army possessed, panicked and fled. The entire Wei army collapsed, and Jin forces pursued them, inflicting heavy casualties. The fall of Later Qin and the end of Eastern Jin. With Northern Wei defeated, Lu Yu secured control of the Yellow River and continued westward. By this time, Generals Wang Zhenyi and Tan Daoji had captured Luoyang and linked up with Lu Yu's navy at Tong Pass. Shortly after, Lu Yu ordered Wang Zhenyi to capture Chang'an, bringing about the destruction of Later Qin. Lu Yu declares himself emperor. After his victory, Lu Yu left his 12-year-old son and General Wang Zhenyi in charge of Chang'an while he returned to the south. Years later, after Emperor An of Jin died, Lu Yu saw his chance. In 420 AD, he forced Emperor Gong of Jin to abdicate, officially ending the Eastern Jin dynasty. Lu Yu then declared himself emperor, establishing the Lu Song dynasty and taking the title Emperor Wu of Song. Thus, the Eastern Jin dynasty, which had ruled the south for 104 years, came to an end. 129. Tan Daoji and the deception of measuring sand as grain. After Emperor Wu of Song, Lu Yu established the Lu Song dynasty. Nearly 19 years later, 439 AD, Emperor Taiwu of Northern Wei, Tuoba Tao, conquered Northern Liang, the last of the 16 kingdoms, thereby unifying the north. For the next 170 years, China entered a period of division between the north and south. The southern dynasties included Song, Qi, Liang, and Chen, while the northern dynasties saw the rise and fall of Northern Wei, Eastern Wei, Western Wei, Northern Qi, and Northern Zhou. This era is collectively known as the Northern and Southern dynasties. Tan Daoji resists the Northern Wei invasion. Emperor Wu of Song ruled for only 2 years before passing away. His son, Emperor Wen of Song, succeeded him. During Emperor Wen's reign, Northern Wei launched a massive invasion, crossing the Yellow River and capturing large portions of territory south of the river. In response, Emperor Wen dispatched General Tan Daoji to lead the resistance. At one point, the Northern Wei army besieged Jinan. Tan Daoji personally led his troops to the Ji River, engaging in 30 battles over 20 days. The Song army emerged victorious, pushing the Wei forces all the way back to Liqing, modern-day Shandong. A sudden turn of events. However, Tan Daoji's growing confidence led to complacency. Seizing an opportunity, the Northern Wei army launched a surprise attack with 2 light cavalry units, striking both the front and rear of the Song army simultaneously. The Wei forces set fire to the Song army's supplies and provisions, cutting off their food supply. Though Tan Daoji's troops were skilled warriors, without food, they could not sustain their campaign and were forced to retreat from Liqing. A deserter from the Song army defected to the Northern Wei camp and revealed the dire food shortage within Tan Daoji's forces. Wei commanders saw an opportunity and quickly mobilized troops to pursue and encircle the Song army. The psychological deception, measuring sand as grain. As the Wei army closed in, many Song soldiers panicked, and some even attempted to flee. However, Tan Daoji remained composed. Instead of retreating hastily, he ordered his troops to set up camp and rest. That night, the Song camp remained brightly lit. Tan Daoji personally led his quartermasters in conducting a grain inventory inside one of the tents. Inside the camp, some soldiers loudly counted and recorded supplies, while others used measuring buckets to pour rice into storage bags. A Wei scout, spying from a distance, saw bags upon bags of white grain and rushed back to report to the Northern Wei commanders. Tan Daoji's army has plenty of food. If we engage them in battle, we will surely be defeated. The Wei generals, hearing this report, grew suspicious. They concluded that the earlier Song deserter must have been a false defector, sent to lure them into a trap. As a precaution, they executed the defector. The brilliant escape. In reality, Tan Daoji's soldiers had been measuring sand, not grain. They had covered the sand with a thin layer of rice, deceiving the enemy into believing they had abundant provisions. At daybreak, Tan Daoji ordered a disciplined withdrawal. His troops donned full armor, while he himself dressed casually and rode a carriage, exuding an air of confidence and control. The Wei generals, wary of a possible ambush, hesitated to pursue. Having suffered multiple defeats at Tan Daoji's hands before, they feared that he had set up a trap along his retreat route. Thus, Tan Daoji successfully led his troops to safety, preventing a disastrous defeat. After this incident, Northern Wei no longer dared to launch reckless offensives against Lu Song. Political jealousy leads to Tan Daoji's execution. Tan Daoji had served both Emperor Wu of Song, Lu Yu, and Emperor Wen of Song, achieving remarkable military success. However, his great achievements and rising reputation aroused the suspicion of the Lu Song court. One day, Emperor Wen fell seriously ill. His brother, Lu Yikong, conspired with close associates and remarked, "If the emperor does not survive, leaving Tan Daoji in power would be a major threat to us." Using Emperor Wen's name, they fabricated charges, falsely accusing Tan Daoji of recruiting traitors and plotting rebellion. He was arrested and sentenced to death. Tan Daoji's final words. When Tan Daoji was captured, he was enraged, his eyes burning with fury. Pulling off his headscarf and throwing it to the ground, he exclaimed, "You are destroying your own great wall." Despite his protests, Tan Daoji was executed. The regret of Emperor Wen of Song. When news of Tan Daoji's death reached Northern Wei, their generals and soldiers celebrated. With Tan Daoji gone, we have nothing to fear from the south. Years later, the Northern Wei army invaded Jiangbei, advancing as far as Guabu, modern-day Liuhe, Jiangsu, near the Yangtze River. Emperor Wen stood atop the stone city fortress in Jiankang, gazing northward with deep regret. He sighed. If Tan Daoji were still alive, these barbarian cavalry would never have dared to roam so freely in our land.